Where's the people's lawyer? I know him. I know him disappeared. Let me
Yeah,
try again.
I am hearing you okay. I'm
You
hearing
hear
you.
me? Okay. No, I was going to I don't want you to sue me for life. I was going to say why I couldn't get you at all. I hear rumor going around because I heard that the opposition leader will give part of his salary to charity. And I know Wendel is not a man around dog money like some others. So I know that Wendel is charity. So I say he must get big money this morning. That's why we don't hear from him. Then,
Well, last week's announcement really put us in a model. There are certain provisions and processes in public administration. So it
yes.
is easy to make pronouncements, which
Oh,
is what we are suffering from. Pronouncement and announcement here and there, but the
pronouncement and announcement.
implementation in law and otherwise is something else.
Yes.
So last week we were looking at this explosive matter of compensation for members of the political directorate, and we had laid some foundation, and we want to continue this week with the accountability aspect in more detail.
Yes.
We know that the present politicians, consisting of members of parliament and ministers of government, were given quite a substantial salary increase. All of a sudden, some people are now coming out to say that they expected it, but I think the vast majority of Jamaicans didn't expect it because it was not signal leaked or any information given that the political director, persons
But how is
who
that possible?
normally
How is it not leaked? That I don't understand. How come it was not leaked? A
well,
signal.
well, oftentimes you hear that sources are saying X, Y, Z, but
Yes.
this was very tight. Nothing, no signaling what was coming. That the substantial sum was coming and how it would be paid.
But Wendell, you ought to know better than that. You are the one who is calling for openness and it must be when you have a law, it must be discussed and so on. Say that. That when you talk of foolishness. So they not hear. But guess what? They never hear and they feel.
Yeah.
You always saying. So, and by the way, don't feel no way of saying, I told them so. Since you know what I'm saying, me say so. Wendell told them that for years now. Wendell are saying, bring it to parliament, let the people get involved. If the people are involved in the first place, the discussion would not be after the fact. It would have been before.
Yeah. You are so right about that,
No,
because
I'm not the one who's right. You are right.
because we have been saying involve the people. The people are your masters and your employers.
Yes.
Why not have servants as you say you are? Why don't you involve the people? You are acting for the people, not for yourself. And if that was done, we wouldn't have this model that we are in now.
Let me tell you what
And
happened to Wendell. I think because it is known, well, I'll say it is because even when something is known, it's not known. That because the ministers and the prime minister's salary is pegged to the permanent secretaries. That's my understanding. Then the moment the permanent secretaries get a particular increase, then it is expected that the politicians will get it also. There are persons who are questioning that why they put them at the top of the grade. You must put it at the top of the grade because if it's...
but I don't agree with that proposition. You know why?
Yes.
Simply this: that system of pegging, which has lasted for decades,
Right.
cannot work again. It must be thrown out.
By the way, let me show up on your copy that new idea now. I agree with you. It must be thrown out. Guess what I think should be put in place? Wendell, don't really have your budget. No, but your salary. Don't you, whatever you spend for so especially food that you can't change, don't you allocate a certain percentage? I am saying what we should do. Money is to pay public servants. Money is to pay the political directorate. Should be a percentage of the gross domestic product.
Well, you see, there are different ways of doing it, but what is dead sure? Nobody in their right mind give enormous salaries to persons who are either unqualified or are not performing. Nobody does it that way.
No, but guess what?
Neither
Guess
is-
Wendell. This is where Mayor going to disagree now. I find a lot of persons who are discussing this matter are treating politicians the way you treat a worker, and they say they must have a job description. I've been thinking about it. For a political leader, what you want is just a general outline, because as leader, you are responsible for any and everything. It's not just a job, you're a leader. And let me tell you, when you talk about qualifications, Wendell, there are many past prime ministers who probably didn't even have any tertiary education. Qualification can mean just experience. It can mean that you function in other capacities. And what I'm finding now is that persons who have academic qualifications have made poor leaders. You can't compete with people like Bustamante, you know. Don't forget that Father Manley was a brilliant man. And the other political leaders who I can mention too in the past. So we have to be careful that we don't develop what I would call intellectual apartheid system.
Certainly not. We are not going that way. But we are saying the public dollar must be justified. And if you are going to institute a fair system of reward, just like how you say it is being done for the public servants, then you have to look at the members who make up the political directorate and come up with a same kind of analysis and scheme. You can't use the pegging, the old time pegging, automatic, because the value, you won't be getting value.
That's why I suggested. That's why I suggest the percentage of the gross domestic product, because their whole market benefit, but a lot of it will be impacted by other matters. But in Jamaica, particular, or dropping gross domestic product and how we manage the economy has, if we can put the blame right at the feet of our leaders. And to me, that's a good indicator as to how well the country is performing. One, it tells you how the government is performing, one. And two, it tells you about your ability to pay. And if you restrict the amount that you give to your parliamentarians and the public servants to the gross domestic product, you're in a better position. And that should be enshrined in the Constitution. So no prime minister and nobody else can decide now to give themselves 200% increase. They can't, because it's strictly to that percentage of the gross domestic product.
Right, but the fundamental principle is that there is no objection to having a salary and a reasonable salary.
Right.
But the question is, you have to have some kind of qualification system, because you can't give high salary to persons who are not qualified at all, or can't perform, or failures.
But what would you regard as qualifications, or what would they say qualifications? Because many persons that look at the word qualification. What would qualify a person now to become an MP?
No, this is what we are saying, you know. We are saying no, according to the new dispensation. This salary structure is to attract qualified people, but we don't know.
I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that at all.
We don't know what his qualification
By the
is
way,
all about.
Wendel, I do not even respond to the suggestions being made. I come up with new things, because let me tell you something. That money can also attract some people are interested in is money and not to provide service to the country. So that argument don't hold at all. That is why I don't buy that. I don't even consider it. We see what we do sometimes, Wendell, is that based upon what persons are saying, we based our response to that. I'm trying to get us to think out of the box, because I don't buy the argument if you increase the salary that you're going to attract a higher level. The fact is, no. If you are attracted to serving the people based upon salary, then basically you shouldn't be there at all.
Well, let us look at how it ought to be.
Mm-hmm.
The qualification aspect, I do not think is key. What is key is the responsibility aspect.
Right.
So you may come in without a first degree, but you have a good heart to do work for the people, for your citizens, for your constituents.
But here the problem now, Wendell.
And then they set out what your responsibility is, and because it is X, Y, Z, then you are given a compensation package accordingly.
But here the joke now, Wendell. The people do not understand what's the role of an MP. My understanding that his basic role is to be a legislator. What is happening now, a legislator, is a pooper, is a mumma, is a social worker. And that is now being sold to the people that it is a job. And it is not so. No, don't forget, what's his name? Lech Wałęsa in Poland. He was just a dock worker. But he was seen as the most qualified person to take over Poland, which he did. And as I understand that he did a very good job. And he was just ahead of the workers' union there. The point I'm making that those of us who are academically qualified, we better believe it, because I've heard some of us present things. We couldn't lead the people. What is important in terms of leading the people, some skills that the politicians have, just that they don't use it well. The ability to communicate and to influence people. It's the greatest qualification of a leader. If you can't communicate and influence people, you're hopeless. You could have 10 degrees.
We have to decide as a people what is the responsibility and function of the member of parliament and the parish council. Are they welfare officers?
Exactly.
To pay out monies, give monies to funeral expenses, back to school,
exactly,
and some other matters.
And by the way, it's no part of the system. You get money now to distribute, and I think it is wrong. It is very, very wrong. The day they started allocating, I don't like it at all. What?
It's best for the state agencies to do those things.
Yes.
So you use the money that is in the system that we did well with to beef up those agencies that's supposed to be fixing roads, providing water, and helping those who may qualify for help in terms of back to school and funeral expenses.
What the MP should have the responsibility to do, Wendel, is, for example, he should be the one and working with the people of putting priorities in terms of which roads need to be fixed.
He's supposed to be an advocate, advocating for the people in the constituency, and also a lawmaker in Parliament. Those are the responsibilities, not the welfare aspect. It ought not to be like that.
Exactly.
Then now, one has to assess now, by some assessment system that is agreed, how that person performs.
You know what I think should be done though in terms of assessment? If you don't go to Parliament, then you should lose probably 10,000 for each session of Parliament to be, so each committee. Think that, for example, that is what I think the accountability comes in.
Well, that is being proposed, that there's a financial sanction for low turnout, absences without just excuse in parliamentary attendances. And that is a good measure.
But when let me tell you something, it's probably hard to get people, especially those who are academically inclined. A leader, you give a job description to a worker. He needs to do this, that. Leader, by its definition, is about leading. So the Prime Minister gets up tomorrow and makes a ruling, not in a dictatorial fashion, saying that effective today, anybody who has lied will be removed from any leadership position in his party and also in the public sector. And he folds his hand for the rest of the year. And the country gets persons who are honest and so on. And the country changes. He would have done a fantastic job. Is that the Prime Minister have a job description, go every morning, sign up for him? No. The moment you get it that you are turning a leader into a worker, and how a leader function has to be different from a worker. Just like in management. That is why in Jamaica nowadays we have some hard-working managers, but they're not leading. In the schools, the same thing. You have some very qualified academical principals, very well and so on. Now they work hard, but they're not leading the schools. And that's why the whole system is in a mess right now. Then now we'll look to the Minister of Education to solve the problem in every school, because what we have, I know one gentleman, I've been talking to him, I tell from practical experience, know one gentleman who has his doctorate, and he was working in an institution and cannot show you one book or one something put up for that organization. And that organization should have a significant amount of documentation and books that people can read. In doctorate though. And he was being promoted.
Yeah. Well, the framework that we are talking about of accountability must be put within the law and not left to the politician.
No, it can't be.
Part of it will be in the Constitution.
Yes.
The recall aspect.
Oh, Lord.
And other aspects regarding assessments and so can be framed in ordinary law. So you have the responsibility component and you have the criteria that will be done in terms of assessing the person, whether they perform or not, whether they are in parliament or elsewhere and so forth. And there are sanctions. Some is financial, some might be a recall, an impeachment process, where you impeach the person if they have failed to perform, but they are getting the pay and so forth.
But you know, Wendell, the greatest level of accountability is when we educate our people, when they start to do civics in school. And I think 5 years is too long for MP. It should be 4 years, and you do not perform. The people reject them. But let me tell you, I know right now, and persons know who I'm talking about, I know at least one MP I can call, but more than one. In other one same thing, but guess what? The people vote for him every election. Now, the fact is, if the people want him a non-performer, who am I to say he's not performing? No, they want him or him, they want he's a representative. So it is the people we need to target and say, this is what your leader need to do. And you want me to tell you some more? There's another one who don't hardly do anything. But guess what? I've learned that public relations can really make you seem like a superstar. Like if I had a public relations team now, I'd be probably getting 40 million a year, Wendell. Same thing for you. You don't even love to be clapped more time. Me have to congratulate you in terms of the work you are doing. So there are some persons who are not performing, but because of their public relations activities, they come across as outstanding performers, and they're not performing. And one of these days, I will call them one by one, call them name.
Yeah, so there is that aspect, those who are high profile, because they're always in the news.
Exactly.
And they use persons who, everywhere they go, there's a news report.
Exactly.
A news cast in it, yet the work may not be effective at all, and that ministry or that department is falling down. So we are aware of that. The other aspect that can be brought into this accountability, which you touched upon, which is valid, is this question of the ethical behavior of the members of the political directorate. So this is different now from performance,
yes,
and advocacy and lawmaking. The ethics of what you do as a politician. So if you behave in a way which brings that profession of being an advocate and a lawmaker into disrepute,
yes,
then certainly there should be some sanctions there.
But Wendell, I'm going to go for a break, but I'm going to ask you, when you say disrepute, now you, Wendell Wilkins, if you hear a particular parliamentarian behave a certain way, you have been properly brought up and a dignified gentleman goes, oh, what a disgusting man. He's rude, he's cruel, but guess what? The people that said, tell them, boss, tell them about the what's it. And they love him. So you are in the minority, Wendell. And I'd ask you, that's a fact right now. The people of this country, culturally, we have dropped to such a low level that boorish, dirty behavior is put on a pedestal, even by the news media. There are certain characters, and you know how I function. There are certain characters who, me tell you, me no want their music associated with me at all. No! But guess what? We're at a very low ebb in terms of how we think.
Yeah, that's part of the tribal politics, with the base. But remember, the base is only about 40% of the electorate, The other 60%, we must insist that ethical behavior must come. It can't be you behave any way and you are still.
But I'm going to tell you, Wendell, it seems to me that we don't have enough persons who are pushing for top-class behavior. If we did, and I'd ask you see how the people make up noise about pay? But I also say something very awful, Wendell. You say everybody join and make up noise about the Prime Minister pay?
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you something, enough people are going to vex me now, but so we believe. It is born, not everybody, just a lot of us, is born out of bad mind, which is justified because it's salary too high. I would say, me now get nothing. But it's not born out of what we think is right or what is wrong. And enough people are born enough people. There are few of us who think it is wrong. But many people, you hear this stuff first, they will me not get the money and him not get money. Right? Because if we use the same yardstick, we'll be talking about behavior and crude behavior, how we respond to one another and treat one another. It's the first time in a long time I've seen so many persons function and come together in a matter. And I think they probably only use the Bonuka. If enough of we. By the way, it's in politics, there are a politician, they think them a cost and cry. They're glad for the money. They will do like a PR chat outside, but they're glad for the money. So stay there. So all some of us are because we don't get the big money. You know, we didn't get the money, we keep quiet too. So that is something. Wendel, but just talk it as I see it.
Okay, when we come back from the break.
You're tuned to Vernon Darby. Oh, love, get ready for roller. Oh, love, ready for roll, ready for roll, ready for roll.
Welcome back. You're listening to Rhythm FM, coming to you live from Kingston, Jamaica. I'm your friend, Vernon Darby. This is the People's Program, Spot On, where we are spot on. Of course, we have the lawyer on the line, the law and you, Wendel Wilkins. He just tells you as it is. Now, Mr. Wendel, you have about 4 minutes, and you at this time now you become the Prime Minister. You speak like the Prime Minister and say exactly where things ought to go. But don't forget my little suggestion. I try to push my little suggestion that the MP must be limited, must be a percentage of the gross domestic product.
Yes. So we are agreed at the job description, and it should include advocacy and lawmaking, not the welfare aspect that we have existing now. And then the performance criteria must involve a code of ethics, a code of ethical behavior as a politician. And I would add training, because you might come in and you don't have a clue as to how public administration is done. You're not clear as to the procedures in Parliament, how you handle funds and so forth. So training.
Hold on, you said handle funds. You say? Did you say handle funds?
Yes, because remember now, sometimes funds are allocated for community development.
Yeah, but they're not supposed to handle funds at all. That's why I came in there. They're not supposed to at all. They can only.
Yeah, not personally, but for the process of how to get funding for projects within the constituency, but not the personal handling.
Right.
So that has to be explained, and all the various processes, contracts. You know, there's a problem with contracts and so forth. All of that in public administration.
And by the way, sorry to interject again, but when it comes to contract, these are things that public servants should deal with. As a minister, you should not get involved with that.
That is it.
You can make recommendations.
We are coming from the old days, where some of these remnants are still expectations of the people,
Mark, I do believe that as a minister, also you are even the MP, nothing is wrong with you making recommendations, but it must be above board.
Yeah, there must be a proper assessment.
Right.
Assessment basis. So all of that be part of the training in public administration as to the processes that exist to ensure transparency, fairness, and accountability, and get away from the feeding trap approach of the past. And of course, you have the recall process set out in law that if you are elected and you fail to perform, there's a process of recall that can be put in place and in motion involving you, and you have to account as to why you should not be recalled. Now, the recalling should not be the politicians recalling their brothers and sisters. It should be the constituents doing the final recall. Because, if it is left in the hands of the politicians and you have the right numbers, that recall may not occur at all. So the recall needs to come from the people who say that we have enough concern, we have enough interest and votes. And
30 seconds.
Yes, and set it right, and it comes to the people. Also, the question of fixed elections, that will help us a lot. So
fixed election date every 4 years.
Yes, no manipulation to choose the best time. and to make it sugary at that time, the best time. And also term limits. There's also discussion that we should have on
I
term
wish
limits.
I wish us well on that one.
So all of that is the legal
Yes.
accountability framework that we
Right.
need
Have to
talk
go now
about.
to Wendell. I want to
Yes.
thank you very much, but you know that you'll never finish on this one. We have to talk about it again next week. Can't stop.
Yes.
Thank
No
you, bye.
problem. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you, Wendell Wilkins, the people's lawyer.